Okay. So this class, we have this class, and then there's three of you here today. I don't think we're going to meet next week. I think I said that from before, but I was kind of holding out, like maybe people really need to come in next week. But I don't know. What do you need to come in for? Some question, some burning thing to make this post to be as best as it could be, and you just need a little bit more of my time? Taking notes on that? I don't really, I guess you're the three people who are, two people who are always here. I don't know what else there is to do. We just need to take the data and make it, visualize it, and summarize what the article says. So by this point, you should have this part done for sure, the article summarized, correct? Into a space that can fit, I only put 4 lines there. It should be more than 4 lines, but it shouldn't be, hold on. A full page in Word is 250 words. And a full page double space is 250 words, about? Is that correct? About that? Right, so it shouldn't be more than that. And that's double space. So once you make it single space, it should fit into this side up here, no problem. Shouldn't be more than 1 page that you take in those 3 articles and summarize them into 1 page. Definitely not more than 1 page. Maybe even less than 1 page. But we read those articles. It's been a while. That shouldn't be hard. D, data. You see how I got all this writing here? When you do it, it should not have all of this writing here like we've been doing. In the past, we've taken the data and we found what was significant from it, and then you write about it, and write. What I've said, and I wrote this in the directions, and then I made even simpler directions called written another way. And here in the data, I say, visualize Miami school data, and underneath each visual, write a sentence or 2 about what is significant in there. So we're not writing like paragraphs like a census assignment. We're not making a bunch of bullet points. Just within in our writing of the data, it should fit underneath the visual of the data. A sentence or 2 of what should I be looking at in there. The method is 1 paragraph on where we got the data, and I said it's right here. And what you're doing with the data, and there's 2 constants, the economic and the minority, and the 5 performance indicators, science, math, English, school grade, and graduation. Now, if this is where I got it from, I've said to add a piece of data. Well, we can add it from right there. There's a ton more data from right there. Or maybe we can go to census and find out something about the zip code where the school is. And maybe find out people without a high school diploma near the school, people with a graduate degree next to the school. I don't know. You tell me, what other piece of data you think might supplement this? Thinking hard, huh? Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot?
I think there's a lot you could
there's a lot
add
you
to
could do. Yeah. You could take the best schools, the ones that rank not just the school grade, but the best of everything, and then see if there is, are these particularly rich? Are these like schools with less foreign-born people, more foreign-born people? Something. There's all types of things you could do.
Also, like what type of foreign-born people is there?
That list had like 32 schools on an Excel file, maybe. School data. So there are 36 schools. So let's say we put the schools in order of A to Z. So these schools all have an A. Damn, there's only 8 schools with A. Going back to the first way we analyzed something, the first assignment, what if we just took those ones, copied them, then did the second way of English. Sorted this. I want to go from high to low. Ooh. Whoa. What a drop there is in this. All right, so this number, what do you think these numbers mean? It doesn't really matter to us what these numbers mean, because when we are looking at data, a lot of times, especially for what we're doing at this level, these are just indicators to us. We don't, like, how the measurement is might not be the most important thing unless this was our own, if we were really doing in-depth of our research, you're doing a thesis or something like that, then it'd be important to know what the hell we're measuring. But just know that these are relative indicators. But what this is saying is who is proficient at that level. And this is, you take this test when you're in 10th grade, I guess. So English. 87% of Coral Reef Senior High School and 80% of Cutler Bay High School are proficient English at 10th grade. Look how quickly it drops off. All right, let's just say 60 was a good measurement. So we said 36. So that means that below 60 would mean 28 schools are below. Wow. But that's English in Miami. Again, though, these same schools are at the top of the list. Let me see. Can you freaking stop? Coral Reef, doing great. And Coral Reef again. So, well, first of all, I kind of gave up on making this other list just because I didn't realize how quickly it was just going to drop off like that. But are these top schools always the same? And is there a pattern among these top schools? Let's say we found out, where is Coral Reef High School? Is that the one that's down the street from here? I think it's on 16th Street. I think it was a student. Oh no, it's down in South Miami. Let's just say we open up Miami. Coral Park is the school that's down the street from us. That a student who went to. Wasn't that his classmate from over there said that she went to the school? One for your life. But let's say we want to look up the highest performing and the lowest performing schools and then see, like in census, place. So let's say we were. It's kind of bad though because like the places, like the indicators that you'd want to look for probably, like most grad degrees, is probably in a place that doesn't have the best schools. But the zip code with the most dropouts is also probably the place that has the worst schools. So like, because like people with the most grad degrees are probably going to be in Brickell and the beach, in a place like Miami. Because a grad degree is like a law degree. And where you're gonna, if you're a lawyer in Miami. Hello. Did you go to Coral Park High School? Was that you? No. Oh, we just looked it up. It said run for your life. Shoot. Anyway.
You were saying something about being a lawyer in Miami.
Yeah, let's say you're a lawyer in Miami. Like, I bet like a high percentage of, or a higher percentage of people that live in like Brickell are gonna have some type of advanced degree. But the closest high school to Brickell is probably one of our lowest performing schools. Like Miami Central is not far from there. Where's Miami Central?
Go Rockets.
Huh?
Say Go Rockets.
Oh, is that their name?
Yeah, it's their mascot. Well, I don't know.
Where is this? Wait, Miami Central? That's not what I'm thinking of. There's a school like right in here. And there's one.
By the Marlins? Is it Booker T you think that?
Booker T is around there. Wait, Booker T is right in downtown, isn't it? Okay, yeah. See, that's gonna throw everything off though. See, if you look up like where the most, like people, Biscayne is gonna have people with a lot of money, especially if you're in the core part of Biscayne. It's gonna have the most money and probably the highest percentage of people with some type of advanced degree. An MBA. You see, most people with an advanced degree doesn't mean a PhD. It means like for most of the time, an MBA or a law degree, a JD, in a place like Miami, right? So those people are probably here doing something bigger. This might not even be, they're not like raising a family here. So they can live in downtown on Biscayne, but like people with a family who live around there have like crappy schools. Probably, like Miami Beach High School is kind of somewhere scoring in the middle. But it's going to be one of the richest areas too. Why am I forgetting? Where's Miami Jackson Senior High School?
It's like on 36th Street. It's like, yeah,
That's
it's in
what
the
I was
vicinity
thinking.
of Booker T.
Okay, they're next to each other. Okay. And see, Miami Beach is like, yeah, scoring very. So we're not going to find a huge correlation here. What would be a good correlation? Probably you go the opposite way. Don't look at the best schools, but look at the worst performing schools and look at, are there other people who, a high percentage of people without a diploma within that zip code? Maybe, but this is what you would find out. So, like if we found the schools that are consistently looking at the very bottom, then perhaps they would be the areas that would be have the most people in that area without a diploma. You see, that would also be around Biscayne, within the vicinity of Biscayne. Even though it has the highest, it also has the lowest. Like, remember back the first census assignment when I said the reason that DC is not working in there. DC has the highest amount of people with a grad degree, has by far the highest population, the highest income, but it also had the most dropouts and the most poverty. These extremes are going to exist within the city center. Versus everything becomes kind of the same, kind of homogenous when you get to like suburbs. So like Kendall doesn't have super rich people, but it doesn't have super poor people either. Surely you've noticed this. Go around the school here, like go into Westchester, and it's very homogenous. Not a huge range. Households are probably around here, probably in the neighborhood of like 80 to 150,000 per household. Versus within a couple blocks of being downtown, you can have multimillionaires and people who make below 20,000 a year in their household, all within a close vicinity of each other. So you figure out what it is you want to supplement this with. And you could look at census to help us and just look up certain zip codes, or maybe you want to look at the website where I said we got the data from, which I said this in, where'd I go? Let me make sure it's written right here, right?
It's Miami-Dade Public School Assessment Research.
Right. I mean, I know what it is. I just want to make sure you know what it is. Typically, you just write data next to something if you want to find Excel sheets about it. So if we say Miami Public School data, and the first thing that comes up is school performance data. So all within here, we have AP, attendance, movement, mobility, and suspensions. This is longitudinal, means over a large amount of time. School. So on the that's the school performance data that comes up immediately. Where did I just see? What is the other indicators? Assessments. Okay, so FCAT, SAT 10, PSAT, SAT, and ACT. What is the ACT? ACT is just the other SAT that some people decide to take. Okay. So within here is this one's just having it. Oh no, here it is. You have the results of it. Damn. Who took SAT in here? You take ACT?
Yeah.
You took both? You had to? Or you chose to?
Both. FYU offers both. I mean, they accept both.
Okay. But, I mean, you're high school, so did they encourage you to take both of them?
Mm-hmm.
Which school did you go to?
Booker T, Washington.
Booker T, we were just talking about that. You from around there?
Not necessarily.
Downtown?
I've been to total 4 high schools, but I graduated from Booker T.
Okay. You're from like the little Haiti area? No.
I live in the Overtown area, but technically I grew up in Georgia, so.
In where?
Georgia.
State. You grew up in Georgia?
Yeah. But I was born here.
But you were born here, and then you went to high school here?
Yeah. Georgia and here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing.
I got you. And you're from Oak, you grew up, when you were here, you lived in Oaktown?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the other high schools you went to? In Miami?
South Miami Senior High School.
South Miami Senior High School, and you got from Overtown to South Miami. How did you get all the way over there?
That's where I was living at for a while.
Okay. Okay. Alright. So anyway, there's this SAT data that's readily available to you. This would be a lot easier than going through census. Census can be very confusing. This is ready to digest for the public, though. And you can just, pull up. Once you've looked at the data, what more would you want to find out? SAT would be some good stuff to find out. SAT and ACT. What is end of year course assessment? Ooh. End of year course assessment for these things for science, and math. It's funny. Did a lot of people access for this might be something good too. The ELL means the English language learners. That's what ESL became. ELL. That might be a good indicator you might want to add to it. Did a lot of people that you went to school with at Booker T end up here at FIU? Some. Overwhelmingly at FIU, either from Hialeah and Kendall or South somewhere. Overwhelmingly, I found that. Anything else you might want to say is a good indicator to look at? Nobody has anything to say? Highlights. What happened? Oh, Adobe is blocked on here. I'm not downloading a PDF on here. What is CE, Comprehensive English Learning Assessment? Like Amory was not doing good with that one. I'm telling you, you figure out. I threw out some good ideas. We looked at it, and you can just add a column of that. Once you looked at the data and you found what was significant, and you say, oh wow, there's a correlation between these schools that all got that have low amounts of economically disadvantaged people, and all of their grades seem to be doing great. And then maybe add in there are the schools that also have more or less English language learning, or whatever that one was. What is it? ELL. English language learners, or are there SAT? You know what else was good? When I just looked at that SAT thing, was how many people take it. You probably want, if you do SAT, you probably want to look at ACT also, because some people are making a choice, so they want to do this. And I was surprised. Well, actually, no, at Booker T, not Booker T, Alonzo Mourning. When we just looked at the data, Alonzo Mourning seems to be performing pretty high in all indicators, but not that many people. It was only 340 students took the SAT, and the school has like 2,000 something. So you divide that by 4, and there's still like 600 students probably in 11th grade, or, between all the grades, seemed pretty low. Only 340 took the SAT. But I didn't look at ACT. Maybe some are opting for the ACT. Did somebody in here take the ACT and not the SAT? No.
I did by this person.
You did both.
No, I took the SAT
Oh.
and not the ACT.
Okay. Why did they say to do that? Why did you decide to do that?
I realized I only had to take one, and that was the next one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the main difference is that the ACT it's less time, but less questions as well.
Oh,
But the SAT it's like more in depth, but like more questions as well. That's the key difference.
okay.
And the ACT has like sciences and other type of like.
Oh, it's not just English and
not only English and math.
Okay. SAT is universal. ACT, if you're in the Northeast, they never really heard of it. And if you look at where most schools in the country are, they're in the Northeast. But, taking both of them, maybe. Whatever. So, getting back to here. So, we look at the data same way we've been looking at everything all semester. You add in a piece of data that I didn't include, something that would supplement these indicators that I put out there. And visualize it. The poster must be visual. These visuals look great, but these are I just Googled data visualization, and I just copied 5 different things and threw them on here. These really mean nothing. I don't know what they are. They have nothing to do with what we're doing now. So in your methods, though, you probably want to include what you supplemented the data with. And include that in your references, too. So, like, in your methods, you probably would say, like, we analyzing these indicators because of like what the readings have said, and it's going to mean this, this, and this. And then after looking at the data, you then supplemented it with the SAT scores to find a correlation between these things.
And if it's the same source but like a different indicator, just adding the new indicator.
That'd be fine. In your conclusions, probably want, I think I wrote it there, like bullet points, just make bullet points in your conclusions based on what you would expect and what you actually found. So, you must preface this stuff with a caveat about the racial thing of what Miami and race means. Or minority, not race. Minority in Miami, because 90% of Miami public school students are minority. But that doesn't necessarily mean the minority that how the rest of the country would look at it, or how Miami looks at it. And there are schools, like Alonzo Mourning is a high-performing school, but it's also, there's a lot of black students that go to Mourning, okay? But north half of Miami, along Biscayne, is one of the richer parts of Miami, but it's definitely where the majority of the black population lives. But like on the other side of Biscayne, and a lot of parents will figure out any way to get their student into the better performing schools on the north half, which being one's closer to Biscayne. North Miami and Alonzo Mourning are pretty high-performing schools, fairly above the average. Crop is not, though, correct? Stop. What the hell? Right. And Crop is on the other side of 95. So, what else? Any other questions? We're not going to meet next week, but come in with a draft. You're not presenting it, just come in with a draft on December 3rd. And then me and the rest of the class will give any suggestions, and you'll have like another week to actually finalize it. But of all the things you have to do at the end of a semester in any class, this should be one of the less stressful things. I mean, I'm kind of running out of things to say in this class too. Like just at this point, like I think it's been the first half of it, knowing how to read articles and knowing how to make visuals out of data. So now, let's freaking do it. I don't know. And that's really why we didn't have class last week. Because I was looking at I don't know. I know there's going to be 3 people in there and nobody's going to have any questions. And if we go that last week, then how the hell am I going to have anything to possibly do this week? You can use the template I gave you. That is no problem. But you can be more creative with it as well. But don't be too creative to where you distract from what we're looking at. So yeah, but everything is that. This whole part right in here probably be less words and mostly visuals and just a sentence or two underneath each visual. But the data really wants to, between the title and what is happening here, should really clearly spell out what it is we are saying. I should really look at that and get a gist of it. And I'm looking at the rest of it so that I can kind of understand it a little bit more in depth. Please do ask any more questions, or let's just go.
Do you
Thank you.
usually grade towards the end?
Yeah. Did you do everything?
Yeah, except this.
All right. Nobody's done this yet. I told a few people already, like, if you did it, let me give you credit for it. Okay. I'll post up your grades. Don't you ready to post it? There's nothing to worry about, though. For you.
For the rest of us.
You have nothing to worry about.
For the rest of us.
I don't know the rest of your names. Actually, I know you. And I know you. I don't know your name. I mean, I don't know your name, but if I saw it, I'd recognize it.
Me?
Yeah, that's right. If I saw your name, I'd recognize it. I think you emailed me before, that's why. I had to look you up.
Once.
Right, you emailed me once. So yeah, if I saw it, I'd recognize it. You've emailed me more than once.
Twice.
Right, well, twice. All right, bye. Wait, are there any other questions? Everything is, I think, pretty simple. It's all right there. Just fill in the blanks like the template I made for you.
I have a question.
Go, thank you.
So on Article 2, I submitted twice. Instead of submitting an Article 2, I submitted an Article 3. But I submit the right one again.
Wait, what?
So Article 2, I
Right.
submitted twice.
On the actual article?
Yeah.
Okay.
On Article 2 and Article 3. And then I realized until later, so I submitted the third article on the right place. Are you going to take one?
I'm a little bit confused still, a little bit by everything you just said. Why don't you just forward me what you said, everything?
Okay.
Yeah. And this will help to even
One
like
question:
further.
if I mistakenly send one as a Word document instead of a PDF,
That's fine. That's fine. I just encourage everybody to get in the habit of making things a PDF, but I'm not taking off. I'm not nitpicking about points. I'm not like you did it and then you got credit for it. I'm not sitting there like, oh, I didn't like this format. Go look, walk around this when you leave this room. Look at all the different ways that people make a poster. Like, if you do it, like, as long as your data is correct and you've read what you need to read, then you have full, creative control to do it how you would do it. So things like the making it a PDF has been my suggestion to get in the habit of it because things change, like the formatting changes, and you don't want to be saying to your boss, oh, but I sent it into you correctly, and your boss is looking at you like, yeah, but when I go to present it, it was all messed up, and then you get fired. Get in the habit of making things a PDF. If you didn't, if you did things how you would do it, you're learning how to be, in this class, you're learning how you can be a researcher, not following how I'd be a researcher. But the only example is how I would do it. Correct? So you can take what you want to practice how I do it and then develop how you're going to do it. But it doesn't mean you have to do everything exactly the way I do it. That's all I say. I'm not nitpicking about, oh, you didn't put the column here or you did it there, you highlighted this way, you arranged this in a different way. Great, just look around. Posters are all different. People look at data differently. You're going to interpret it differently. And the more practice you have, the better you'll be. Like I said from the get-go, right now, you're not going to be good. But that's fine. If you were just naturally good, I would think that's pretty weird.
I have another question.
Go.
Do we get extra points for always coming to class?
If I don't know your name, are you going to get extra points? Yes, you get extra points. I'll put a little. I got a bunch of stickers, little golden stars. I'll put a golden star next to your name. There's nothing to worry. Like you can't get extra on an A. Can you? We got rid of A pluses around here, I think. Right? You can only get an A now. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
My campus is still doing A plus, B plus.
Who
In
is?
LA.
Oh, yes. It actually is not a good. They're not standardized, but like you're walking around as if it is standardized. One thing you should have learned about data in this semester is we can't be judging LA things on how Miami does things. Right? So like some schools, University of Maryland didn't have any pluses or minuses, which works to the advantage of the student because no professor is giving somebody with a 69 a D plus. You got a C. Always, you're gonna get a C because I would do the same thing. I don't want to see you next semester over 1 point, right? I'd rather never see you again. If you're really a 69 type of student, the A students I love to see. But if you're a 69, I don't want to have to deal with all of that heat coming from that side of the room next semester because you're still mad about that 1 point. What the hell do I care about that 1 point? Yes. All you care about is getting through this, so get through it and go. See, bye. See you later. But that C is different than somebody, than a C that has pluses and minuses. Or like, somebody who did it. I mean, there's a big difference between a C plus and that person with a 69 C. So it also ends up being easier you get a higher GPA. So then you walk around trying to get into grad school with this GPA that sounds like it's normalized across the country, but it's not. Every school has something very different. And not to mention, a lot of schools. I look around at FIU and like, it's pretty easy to get A's here.
I mean, it depends. It depends on some classes are like, if you want to get an A, you need a 95 or plus. In in some other places with a 90 you get an A.
Yeah.
So,
But also the professors, it's pretty. Everything is given to you how to get that A. You just do it, and then you probably have. I hear from other professors all kinds of extra credit they give out and all kinds of things of like to make sure that you all get an A. And I'm like, well, then I guess an A isn't what it used to be. I mean, just think about like what that would mean in like the School of Engineering or something like that, or in organic chem class. If you got an A, that's really saying you have mastered this. So most people get an A in this class, but that doesn't mean that you have mastered research and you're ready to go and publish papers. It doesn't really mean that. Versus engineering, if you got an A, that means you can probably, if you got an A in your senior classes, you're ready to go design some buildings. Or like, the sewage system. Some of engineering is not so exciting. A lot of it is just, designing the sewage system. Sorry. But an A isn't always what it used to be. You guys have a beautiful Thanksgiving. And put together a draft, and I'll see you on December 3rd.
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I will email you, but in case
Yeah,
forget,
I'm going to
I think
forget everything you
you
just
will
said.
see it.
Is it easy to understand when I see it there?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. So you will see 2 articles. So.
Oh, okay. It's as simple as that. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I can figure that out.